Hello, this is Endo64. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. Why is there no sound? Well, the obvious reason why there's no sound is because when I actually started doing this, I found out at the very end, not in the middle, not in the beginning, not even before we started this, but the very end of this, that my mic sound had failed. Which means I have a lot of episodes I gotta do a narration to. Now you're asking, why should I be doing a narration? Well, the only reason why I should be doing a narration is because of the fact I'm not going to let all that go to waste. This is the first season that I've done in ultra hardcore, and I'd prefer to actually keep this recording. So, as you can see what we're doing right now, I'm teamed up with H8 Creepers. And what I told him beforehand was that there was six things that we needed to do before we officially. Actually, no. It's six things we needed to do all together. First thing that we needed to do was get wood. Second thing that we needed to do was to find food and get apples. The third step was to get cobblestone. The fourth one is to get iron. The fifth one was for gold and diamonds. And the sixth one is to slaughter. And basically, throughout this, you will see that I follow the steps as closely as possible. And that's H8 Creepers, obviously. So since we already had plenty of wood that we had with us, I figured then it was probably a good time to start killing animals. And we looked over and we saw that we had a whole bunch of pigs on top of this hill. So it was the perfect time to slaughter. People were getting cow tipper and all the other stuff, but secretly then we'd be getting all the food and nobody else would know about it. From around this area, as you can see, there's a pig stuck in the tree, but the point is, it's no longer a pig, it's pork chops. And meanwhile, as you can see, everyone else that's in the groups is currently getting the achievements as well. I think for this point, I sort of actually lost I think I actually lost Creepers for a second. I didn't know where he went, but I figured that he was actually going to be okay for the most part. There shouldn't be any monsters out. It's daytime. And any skeletons and zombies that would be in the area actually would disappear completely because they get eaten up by the fire. So immediately then we started back up to find an area to proceed downward. And since we spawned in a spot that actually had a small mine system, we figured why not start down there. Which is what then I proceeded to start to do. And as you can see, it got set up pretty well because you got cobblestone and iron. Not much iron, but it got iron. And it was actually at this point that we found out that my mistake was not realizing that creepers don't disappear, and the fact that we're in a forest. So I started into the round with a teammate, and I lost it within the first 3 minutes of the match, and that kind of pissed me off a bit. Now, not to sound like a greedy person, but then I just took everything from what he died, so. Which meant I also got all the wood and any sort of food, saplings, anything else. Unfortunately, by this point, I was kind of on my own, and I wasn't the only one. I forget who the other person was. Yeah, I forget who the other person was that was on their own. They wanted to know if I wanted to team with them, but I wanted to try to keep this specifically in teams. Because, as you can just tell, I didn't realize that my teammate was going to die within the first 3 minutes of the match. With the fact of getting cobblestone, the benefit was you get better tools, but also the other benefit was you would get a furnace. And unfortunately, since I did not find any coal in the area that I was working, I had to find some way to make fire, which I found specifically for me, sticks actually worked pretty well as firewood. And with a replacement stone pickaxe, I was able to mine out the iron. And as you can see as well, still this entire time, people are starting to get upgrades. Not upgrades, achievements. Then I realized, of course, I have to deal with going inside a cave with nothing at all. Like no torches, no armor. So I had to come up with a solution. And then I figured the only solution that I can think of actually is to find a source to make torches. Since there was no coal though, I had to resort to making charcoal, which is something I've actually done on my own with single player a couple times. And it's funny too, it says, will it say when 20 minutes are up? But it actually, as you'll see in this episode and future episodes, it will not say when 20 minutes are up. It will say when 30 minutes are up. It's kind of a odd way to look at the plugin, but it happens. Because if you go over to Beyond's channel, you could basically tell from him that this was kind of rushed. And it actually was pretty much rushed. Even though I wasn't Kriva and I wasn't Beyond, I wasn't the people that were in charge of all this, I was actually trying to keep order with all this, make sure all the facts were set up straight. Which they sort of were, and then they got thrown out of whack all of a sudden. At this point I had enough torches to start moving further down into the cave system. But then I had to worry about stuff such as skeletons, because they're actually pretty common down where I was at. The problem was, I was trapped, and I could hear one coming. And it was actually probably a good thing too that my mic failed, because throughout this recording and the other episodes, I was actually cursing a good bit. Because of the fact that I was pretty much scared. About 2 minutes after this point right here, at the 8-minute point, I was actually shaking a little bit. And then the further along I kept going, the more and more I started to actually shake. Now, people, that might not seem like a big deal, but it was a big deal to me considering the fact that about 1 hour after the match was finished, I was still shaking. And that usually never happens. At this point, I was actually trying to wait for the iron as well, but I was actually spacing out as what I should be doing next. Obviously, what I should have been doing was mining, but I had to wait for better supplies first. I was sort of paying attention to the chat that was going on, but I sort of wasn't paying attention at the same time. Because considering the fact that I was working by myself, I needed to focus specifically on making sure that I didn't get killed by a mob. And of course I wanted to keep exploring around, finding other stuff, but it was at this point that I realized I probably shouldn't be doing that, considering the fact that it's actually starting to become nighttime. Although I'm actually not quite sure why I went around and attacked that pig, considering the fact that I already had 15 pork chops left over in reserve. I do feel that if once I start, when I go into Season 2, I'm going to probably use the same technique that I used last time to do it. Get specifically wood, and then food, and cobblestone, then iron, then gold and diamonds, and then try to survive. At this point, like, it should be expected, no one else has died yet, except of course for my teammate. So specifically I had big shoes to fill. And I think at this point I actually had to go AFK for a little bit, I don't know. But I think also that was just a protection thing, just in case if I was being attacked and I needed some way to safely hide. Unfortunately for me, at least, I don't think if other people had this problem, but right now I was currently at 5.5 hearts. And for someone with no golden apples yet, no gold, only an iron pickaxe, just one iron ingot left over, I was kind of in bad shape. Easiest solution I found was, like you saw there, was to block up my exit so nobody could get in without me hearing it first, and no mobs can all of a sudden just try to walk behind me and kill me. That's also one thing I didn't understand. I didn't understand why the world had to constantly save, considering the fact that technically this was all going to be restarted as far as I know. And it's not like the server was going to crash or anything, so. Now, since I really don't know how to do the narrations that well with the fraps right now, actually not fraps, with the Windows Movie Maker, I just kind of did this in one whole set. I didn't split up the editing. I think maybe for Season 2 I might do Cam Studio for it. Might work a little bit better. Might not, I don't know. This brings me to a big thing that I was actually quite unaware of. I sort of knew what branch mining was, but at the same time I didn't really know what branch mining was. Actually, no, it's not a good time yet. So to any of the viewers that are currently still unaware as to what's going on, the first person that has died, and the only person that's died so far in this match, is H8 Creepers, my teammate. The benefit now is since I actually had enough iron, the first thing I did was made an iron sword, and then went right to making iron boots. So that gave me a little bit more protection against any other mobs. Okay, I think now's the point where I'd say what I was going to say earlier. I sort of understood what the concept of strip mining was. Like, I knew you'd be going straight out and then you branch off to the left or the right and continue doing it. But I did not know if what I was currently doing was considered strip mining. I mean, technically I didn't think it was actually strip mining, considering the fact that I wasn't basically finding much of anything. I was just trying to get down further. Sorry for viewers if you heard that. I'm currently dealing with sinus problems. Whenever the temperature changes like it is right now for me, I'm dealing with the problems I have. And seeing that I should probably move down then further, I decided to grab all the stuff and then make my way down even further. Apparently the creepers were giving trouble to everyone recently. I don't know. But this technique that I'm currently doing is something that I usually do when I'm trying to find a new area to start mining in. I kind of enclose myself in a little 3x3 spot as I build a staircase down in a circle. It's not really that effective concerning the fact that, oh, person number 2 has died. Lucas Black 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also blown up by a creeper. As I was saying, the technique might not be really that good concerning the fact that you're only going in a small area. But it's a little bit of a safer, well, it's sort of safe, I don't know. It's kind of an old habit that I'm used to doing. I actually forget how many people were originally in the beginning of this match. I had a hard time remembering who they were specifically. Moo. That was another bat. Oh. And we lost the third person, 100 Chowders, also known as the owner of Terra Luna. Okay, so apparently we started with 16 people. And we're now currently down to 13, at least I think it is. And at this point I found gold and I was pretty happy about it, because I needed gold for gold apples. I started counting off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was praying that it wasn't just 6, but unfortunately it was just 6. Not enough to start healing myself yet, but sort of good enough for the time being. One thing I did remember I forgot to do was I forgot to enclose off the area along the top, just in case if something was trying to come after me. Can't remember if I did it now. Yeah, I did it right now. So I'm kind of in a safe double barrier, if you would say. I remember how long this episode was. Looking at the Windows Movie Maker, it looks like I'm getting close to being finished. Yeah, I think we're coming close up to the time. So as you could tell, this is very awkward for me. I've never done a narration to something that I finished doing, but everything has to start new someplace, so I'm just as illiterate as I usually am sometimes when I'm doing regular recordings. But one thing I can tell you, viewers, is that I think for the next couple ones I might do the same thing. But I think I'm going to construct the episodes a little bit better, as in actually talk about certain things as well, such as my opinions on the other players, or reasons why I started Minecraft, reasons why I started YouTube videos, how I ended up in here with the UHC, why I'm currently going back to get more coal, I don't know. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm kind of spacing out a little bit. I'm kind of waiting for the last little bit to go through. But yeah, that's all for this episode. So hopefully I'll be able to upload episode 2 shortly. And that'll probably take me a good bit of time because of my computer. But until then.